So you just got that prop account on Apex Trader Funding, and you need to decide if you're going to trade ES, NQ, or possibly something else, okay? But a lot of the people that I talk to are trading ES and NQ, and in this video, I'm going to tell you which of the two is actually better. And hey, maybe you'll be a little surprised. For those of you who are new here, my name is Forrest. I invest in stuff. I'm also a day trader. I've been doing this for a number of years. I started my career as a software engineer, as a retail brokerage, and then I started swing trading. Then I did a bunch of other stuff. I worked as a startup as a software engineer. The startup got acquired. I sold software, and yeah, I'm on the internet doing things. I do all types of stuff. I'm also a breakdancer. It's crazy. Sometimes I can't believe all the stuff that I do. Woo. If you're looking for a day trading community, you can join mine. I partnered with a guy named Soul. He's a pretty cool kid. We day trade live 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Which is the only time that matters when we're talking about the market. But I digress. We're really focused on being a trading community, right? Kind of like a trading pod, if you're familiar with that term. So during the market hours, we are analyzing the market, calling out trades, giving our technical analysis, really focused on doing things that can make people better traders. If you're just looking for a handout, call somebody else. That's not what we are. But if you do listen to things we say, you will make money. We're that good. If you don't believe me, again, there's a 7-day free trial. Just go to the link wap.com/tradeedge to get your 7-day free trial started. Now, you just got that account. It is whatever day of the week that it is. I don't know when you're watching this video. And you need to decide what ticker, what symbol, what are you going to trade? Okay, I'm going to give you some insights based off of, my experience and what I've been trading for a long time. Okay, and just for anybody new here, my background. So I started mostly as an options trader. I still trade options pretty much all the time. In the Discord, we really focus on futures trading, though. This is important because the asset that you trade, the amount of risk that you get is going to be based off of a few things, right? The average shape of or size of your bars. Okay, so if you're looking at the 1-hour chart and the average 1-hour candle is 50 points, and you're looking for a trade across 2 hours, that is 150 points, you got a problem there, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. So you need to look at the trading range, average bar size, right? You need to look at the average trading range of the day. And then you also want to look at the tick value, right? The value per a move in that index. And then you need to compare that to your capital stack. So what is a capital stack? Simple way of a capital stack. I've got a little stack of capital right here. Okay, bunch of ones, 100s. These are not real, by the way. This is prop money. Okay, all my real money's in the bank. I'm not. Don't be fooled. I got dollars all over the place. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, you need to look at your capital stack, compare your leverage to your capital stack. Why? Because let's imagine, and we'll open up the charts here in a second, but I really want you to get this in your head because this is where everything starts, right? It starts with vision. Okay, what you think is possible is going to dictate the actions that you take towards those possibilities, and the possibilities will determine your outcomes, right? So what is a possible outcome if you're in a ticker that's worth $1,000 a point and you have $5,000 available to you, okay? You can only lose $5,000 and then you're out. That means that with one contract on, you can lose 5 points. Now, the average size of the bar that you're in is 11 points. So you can lose 5 points and the average size of a bar is 11 points. That means that you have to be exactly right on the first trade or you blow up the account, right? It's very, very simple. And I'm painting this simple picture because a lot of people come in expecting to be perfect. And I want you to come into the markets and trading expecting to be imperfect. I actually want you to expect to fail a lot. And I'm not saying that because I don't think that you can do this. I think that everybody can become an accomplished trader. But I want you to understand just some statistics and some things about yourself. If you don't have your own win rate or understand the days of the week that you do best on, and you haven't even thought about the average bar size until you've seen this video, then there's no way that you can expect to be perfect, okay? So let's go ahead and open up the charts and take a look. All right, so we are on Apex Trader Funding's website. If you want to get the best deal on Apex, by the way, you can use code FORCETRADING. They have 80% off throughout the entire month of May. Cool on them. All right, so it doesn't even matter which account we use. I'm going to use the simplest account, I think, for the sake of example, which is the 25K. I think the 50K is the best overall account to start with based off of the trailing to profit goal ratio, but the 25K is a 1-to-1, which is going to be the simplest to account for this example. There's a ton of different plans here. Again, I think the 50K is the best value. I did a video recently, though, talking about how the different trailing styles can make it harder. And I do think after watching probably hundreds of traders go through this journey at this point, there's a lot of merit in things to using these larger account size, like the 250K, the 300K, just because you can get into these bigger trades without worrying about blowing up. Okay, if you want to go for 300 points on NQ and have 100 points of breathing room on a contract, well, you've got $7,500 of trailing. Easy to do on a 300K, impossible to do on a 25K. Nonetheless, let's go back to the charts and figure out what we want to do with our 25K account. Now, again, 25K, we've got a profit goal, $1,500, trailing threshold of $1,500, okay? I need to decide what I want to trade. Let's just do some general statistical breakdown of Friday's session, okay? And these are stats. There are tools out there that will tell you some of these stats, but we're going to do it manually. We're going to get rid of these indicators, okay? And actually, we'll keep on the session volume profile on both, and we'll get rid of the visible range. I use the volume profile every single day. All of my trade thesis, by the way, are based off the volume profile, and this is the auction in general. This is a nice little push here, but we're going to ignore that. We're not trading right now. What is the total range, right? So let's make a list of questions. I actually want you to write this down. This list is going to be pretty valuable in every single session. And these are questions, I call these out live on the Discord. So when we're live trading, these are things that I'll say, and I don't think that people realize that these are prompts almost to myself. These are things that you should be asking yourself before you get into any single trade. Okay, what is the total range on the day? And there's an implicit so far. So what is the total range on the day so far? So on Friday, just looking back, we can see that from the open 930 on ES to the close was 31.5 points. On NQ, we could see that the open high to the low was 160 points. So 31.5 versus 160. So let's go ahead and write that down. It was on ES, 31.5 points. And on NQ, it was 160 points. Okay, so that's the maximum amount of capture that you could possibly get in one trade, assuming you're a perfect trader. That's what that means. Okay. What is the average size of my bars? Now, there's a few ways that you can do this. I always just eyeball this. What I want to do is just find a big move, a big impulse. So here's one here. We can see on the 15-minute. And this is time frame based, right? So let's actually just write it down. What is the average bar size? Now, there are tools that will do this. I'm going to do it the way that I actually do it, though. And this is important because you don't need to overcomplicate trading. You really, really, really don't. Okay, there are tools that will tell you, like, over the last 5 bars, here's the average move. You don't really need that. What you can just do here is like measure the chart. All right, this was 9. This one's about as big as this one. We can see this congestion here, right between here to here. Looks similar size. So let's look at that. Okay, let's look at the size of these bars. About 9 points. So let's just say it's 9. Let's say an average typical move is a 9. We can see that there are ones that are much smaller, but if we were going to get a full kind of candle, right? A full candle looks about 9. So ES, let's say 9 points. NQ, all right, we're on the NQ 15. That same big move came down. It was 55. Let's look at this congestion here. We've got 44. We've got these candles. There's quite a few candles in here that are smaller though, 33. So 33 to 54 on NQ. And it's that simple. It's really that simple, guys, right? Keep it simple. So I want to get into a trade. At any point on Friday, I'm looking to get into a trade, or I'm looking to get into a trade now, right? And we can look back, and this is kind of the next question. Okay, how does today's today look compared to yesterday? And the reason we want to look at yesterday or even the days before is we want to understand what the most likely outcome is. The market, until it shows its hand, is likely to repeat or continue, I should say, its current set of behaviors, right? So we can see that the day before there was this grind up, the candles here, 11 points, right? Not too far off from our 9, okay? We don't have a really big range, right? ES with a 31.5 point range, there's not a ton there. So if I'm trying to decide what I want to trade between ES and NQ, and I'm setting up for Monday. It's Sunday right now. I'm recording this. I'm thinking about what's going to happen on the next session, and I'm trying to capture as much as I can in a trade. Let's just do some quick math. Assuming I was a perfect trader, which I'm not, right? If we caught a whole candle, let's say we caught a whole 9 points on a candle. Actually, there's one more question we want to answer that's going to help us with that as well, right? So what is the distance from VAL to VAH? This is why I kept these on. So we often trade from the value area low, which is this bottom purple line, to the value area high, which is top purple line, or vice versa. So the range from VAL to VAH is 13 points on ES and on NQ. On the 15, it's 61. So 13 versus 61. So ES is 13, NQ 61. So these are different amounts of expected value, essentially. These are different amounts of opportunity that we could look for, just assuming some simple trading strategies, right? Reversion to the mean trades, trading the full range. You can see that the SIB break the range doesn't really matter. What matters here is these are some reasonable statistics by which to make a decision for trade or deciding what we want to trade in general. Now, if we look at the total move here, right? ES, one contract is worth 50 points. Let's just do a separate set of information, right? General info, okay? And ES is $50 per point, and NQ is $20 per point. Okay, so let's just add this up. If I trade ES on a full move, that means I can do 50 times, what was the full move? 31.5 points is equal to, what is that? 50 times 31.5, 1,575. 1,575. Okay, if we do NQ, which is 20 times what, 160, we do 20 times 160, it's $3,200. So something should become very obvious here, that there's more opportunity on NQ, assuming you capture the full move. But what does that also mean? Let's go and look at my account here, right? I'm gonna go back and remind myself, I have $1,500 of profit and a trailing threshold. Now there's a ton of stuff that should be going through your head right now at this point. One is that for either one of these, you could have passed in one day, assuming you're perfect, which you're not. No one's perfect. You're not gonna do this. I wanna remind you again that you're not perfect. You're not perfect, you're not perfect, you're not perfect, right? You're gonna mess up. But assuming you were perfect, you actually could have passed this in one single trade, which is crazy. It's nuts on either one of these tickers. But let's assume that the trade is going to go against us. Okay, let's assume that we're going to be red, and we're going to cut our trade halfway through our average bar size. Okay, so on the upside in one trade, we can make, 1,575 or 3,200 if we caught the full move. But what if we're red? What if we're red on a trade? Okay, here's another question. What if we are red and cut our trade halfway through the bar? Okay, or the candlestick, halfway through the candlestick. And our average bar size is 9 points on ES. So that's 4.5 points, 4.5 times 50. We're losing $225 out of our 1,500. On ES, right, that's, what is the average bar, or sorry, on NQ, the average bar size on the high side was 54 times 20. We're losing 1,080 on NQ. If we cut the trade, again, if it goes red and we're cutting it at half of the candlestick, it's 1,080 on the high side, and on the low side, it's 660. So scarier, right? We can see how these numbers, it looks great when we only focus on the perfect outcome, but now ES is looking a little bit better, assuming I need to eat some risk, right? Because in Q, while the actual point value is lower, it moves a lot more. And we can actually just see that in the price of the index, right? It's in the 18,000s, this is in the 5,000s. That's generally pretty true across the board. Okay, if you see something with really large numbers, it's a higher leverage product, it's gonna move through those points. ES is a little bit lower. So what I do is I trade in Q, but I often will use ES as a leader. That's what I actually do. And the reason that I do that is that ES tends to stick to its TA better, tends to. And this is something that, I'm really just telling you something that I've found in the market. Don't have hard data on this, I'm telling you right now, but you can forward test this yourself. And the way that you can forward test this is just by doing simple TA on both of these. NQ, by virtue of being more volatile, will whipsaw through levels by 15 or 20 points and still respect those levels. ES will get plus or minus 2 points. And you have to remember again, do I want to eat 20 points of drawdown, or do I want to eat 2 or 5 points of drawdown when I only have $1,500 of profit and trailing, right? So you really have to account for your downside risk. So my recommendation, and really the point of this video to everybody who just started, was if you just started, trade ES. Trade ES, learn the market. And there's no downside to doing this. You're going to think, but Forrest, I'm going to miss all that upside. But here's the thing. You're going to minimize your downside. And we can see here that based off of these questions and these answers, this little thought experiment we did that literally took no time at all, that there's plenty of opportunity in ES. It's just, you just got to be a little bit slower. And the most important part is you're less likely to blow up your account. Okay. If you're good at trading ES, we can see that these charts look very, very similar. Very, very similar. And we could just take those same trades on NQ. The thing is though, right, even if we, let's imagine we take this long here, we go long at VAL right here, okay? You're going to eat from the VAL to the low 22 points, actually a little bit more than that. You're going to eat 25 points on NQ, eating 5 points, right? So 22 times 20 is 440, 50 times 5, that's actually worse in that case. It's 250. That was actually a terrible example, but very realistic example nonetheless of actually the difference there. I will say though, this pressure when it comes to being in the trade, while this was actually an example of NQ actually being a better leverage, I'm not gonna change the video just because it didn't go exactly how I wanted, but I will say that seeing 23 points red for a lot of people is psychologically rougher than seeing the 5. You can also see here that ES, to my point earlier, came much closer to this prior day POC, whereas NQ ran through it, right? So here's this prior day POC right here, came right up in front of it. NQ came through it and went through by 22 points. So that's really the difference there. When you're looking at these trades and you're trying to reason through your setups, there's different point values, and the analysis that you do, right, the way that NQ will puncture these levels can shake you out of good trades that you otherwise would stay in. So if you're a newbie, I would say start with ES. It moves slower, which is better, and you'll trade less by virtue of that. Trading less will equal more profits, which is something I talk about in all my videos. So we're not going to belabor the point in this one. This was a simple example. Now you can do this. You should be asking yourselves these questions, really not just for concept of looking at ES versus NQ, but really just, should I even be in a trade, right? Does it make sense to take a trade here? Knowing what my capital stack limitations are, right? Does it make sense for me to go long with 5 ES when the average bar is 9 points and we're already 6 points into this bar? Your EV, your expected value, is very, very low there. A lot of people don't think about, again, what the possible outcomes are. They hope, they get into a trade and they hope, they cross their fingers, they hope it goes their way. So you want to have a vision for the future of your trade, future of your trading, future of yourself, right? The vision that you have is going to dictate your actions, and the actions that you take will dictate your outcomes. So make sure that you're thinking ahead, you're asking smart questions, and you're making the right choices. If you found this useful, please subscribe to my channel. We're almost at 10,000 subs. Just a personal goal for me. I appreciate it. Again, use the Discord if you want to trade a community, wap.com/tradeedge. Check out the links down below for all the best deals on your favorite prop firms, and see you in the next video. Peace.